Yeah.
So they've they've had their great period that nobody noticed. So now they have a chance to try and rebuild that off the back of, well, we've done it once and we've done it now without that pressure that Damwon Kia have to sit on.
Well, I'm happy to report that our lobby is ready. Let's go.
All right.
So Fabian and Fluke, thank you very much. There's Reject and Sandbox. Let's toss it to our casters, Ace and Fresh and Does. Enjoy. Oh, what? Where do you go?
I'm casting with Fresh today.
I'm from Hull.
Is that as far as your personality goes, Fresh?
Hull.
Apparently so. Also, so you discovered the barbers in the off-season. What's gone on there?
Yeah, to be fair, I've admired this jacket for a long time. I just wanted an opportunity to wear it. So thank you, Fresh, for leaving it at the studio. I much appreciate it. We're going to be heading into this one. It is Sandbox versus Reject. We're going to Bankers, and we're going to see if Sandbox are as good as you think they are. I know that you are well on board. I think you might even be driving the hype train that is the updated Sandbox roster.
Honestly, I said yesterday we sat down and said
They're going to win it all.
They're going to all, I hear. Wonder if APAC gets an exclusive trip, all-inclusive to Hull. Imagine. Oh. Yes, I do think they could go on and win pretty much the whole thing this stage. Stop it now. I think with Sandbox, with the lineup they've now got, it's a real smash and grab, essentially. Good Boy came in, and we only saw him for one game. Now, in that one game, Tim, he did become the best-rated player in APAC North. But it's one game. We'll write that off. It's not important, right? But he was still the #1 rated player. And in the off-season, I thought, you know what they'll do? They'll go and find themselves a second support, maybe. They'll bring in someone to kind of back up Shyle, who stepped back from playing in the front line to being in the back line. And it's, sorry, not Shyle, Static, sorry, who's become their hard support, and IGL now in the back line. And I thought, okay, they'll bring someone in to support him. No, they've gone and raided and got one of the best players in APAC North in Arakaze, who put down 4K after 4K after 4K, game after game after game for T1. I was honestly shocked when he joined, because I was like, okay, well, who's going to become their flex support? And from what I understand, I think Envy Taylor's going to take more of that role where he's kind of like supporting the rest of the team. We'll see if that really comes to be. That's my best assumption. But they've got 4 really capable fraggers, if not 5, if Static really gets cozy in that supportive role. He did have a few games last season where he looked a little bit too keen to be aggressive, wasn't really playing the support role still. But no doubt they'll warm into that. Again, for me, this is theirs and Damwon Kia's stage, which is a worrying sign for the Japanese teams, who clearly have got a lot of work to do to keep up.
We are getting into it then. It's going to be down to the basement to kick things off. We've got Arakaze down there on the Tachanka. It's always an interesting discussion that we have. Tachanka versus Smoke. Which one is more effective? Well, Sandbox brought both. So we'll see exactly where Static is going to play. For me, and this is on the basis of how many times we've seen the Tachanka fail to actually deny a plant on this site. Static on the Smoke will be more effective at carrying out that role, at preventing that diffuser from going down. Those Shumika canisters just have a habit of pinging around a little bit funnily in that corner, and it can be quite difficult to get those flames erupting in the right place, depending on exactly where the plant spot is. We'll see where the positioning of those two players are as the round kicks off, but it's certainly something to watch out for.
It is, and I think for me here for Reject, this first half is pivotal, right? You need to be getting yourself arguably 3, if not 2 rounds on the board. This map, as I think Fabian touched on back in the pre-show, is one of the most attacking that we have at the moment. I think going into the Charlotte Major around the world, it was a 37% defender win rate. That means on average you're seeing approximately a 4-2 scoreline in favour of the attackers at the half. So for Reject, a team that want to come up against one of the best that we've got currently in APAC North, this is that kind of time. And here you're seeing that information being fed. They now know there's 2 players charging their way up through Garage. I don't think I've ever seen an Ossa charge through Garage before, Tim.
No, it's a new one for us, but this is exactly why you see the knock band out. Window manages to get one around the corner. Static does take down Takia though, and that leaves us now 4v4 as the kills. This is just turning into a bloodbath. Arakaze manages to get one with that big Tachanka LMG. 4 versus 3, 4 versus 2 as he manages to get a second. And there you go. We're just seeing that alternative use of Tachanka being used in a different space, in a different way, and starting to see success. 3v2.
Well, here we go. You got Charlotte on the upstairs because they haven't dealt with anything to do with the upstairs. So now they've got to kind of go and retake ground. But those beepers are only going to serve to help out the players of Sandbox if they do try and step in towards open area. Now Salty's rotated his way off the top and now working up towards the top floor. Maybe I'll try and come down a slightly different way. Although I really feel that Shyle has got to be careful here. If Window looks upwards, he might see his feet before he sees his head, and that can be trouble. Salty looking to drop down the back. The last two players of Reject very, very split here as we get in towards those last 90 seconds. Salty almost losing his life, but MV on a bit of a shift sprint there, Tim. Not quite sure what the game plan is. Feet being spotted out by Static, who backs himself away and will continue waiting for the drop.
He seemed to suck himself back up the hatch there, Des. It was almost like he was coming through and somehow just managed to cling on to the edge. Shyle will find Salty, though, as he tries to rotate onto that open area hatch, and it's now all down to Window. He's certainly got the operator to do it. He's on the Finker, he's got the LMG, he's boosted up, he's ready to go, he's ready to fight, he's looking to find anybody that he can, but he gets spotted out by the cam at the bottom of main stairs. Shyle going to hold a tight angle here, and there is no reason for SANDBOX to push this. They just need to wait and be patient. Window will present himself into their lines of sight at some point. He's going to have to. He does have diffuser in hand, so there's another option. There's a plan C potentially here for Reject if they want to go in and try and get that diffuser down. Not going to be easy. He does spot one through in red corridor, but can't manage to find a flick onto him. 20 seconds left to go. He's making the challenge. Static takes damage, and still Window on full health here, but as time ticks away, it gets less and less likely with the man on the hatch. Shyle's just going to hold this, but there's an opportunity for him to put the diffuser down here, Des.
Well, he'll go for the drop here. Shyle's got to make the move, but the problem is he'll know that he's coming at this point as well. Goes for the spray. He's off the diffuser. Does Shyle know he's going to hold and wins the 1 versus 1? Window with a golden window in front of him. Can't quite find the kill, and SANDBOX, arguably that round coming closer than it should have been. Still fine round 1.
It was nice. It was nice from Shyle getting himself. He had that position on main stairs. There was the opportunity there. He thinks, right, I'm going to take the hatch. I'm going to have the high ground, and we will go from there. Takes the drop and just sprays a few bullets. Lets the man know that he's coming to get him off that diffuser so that he doesn't have an active plan. And it just adds another pressure onto the Finker of Window. It's time now is a factor as well. He's got 3.5, 4 seconds to find that final kill. So he can't check every corner. He can't pre-fire around every doorway. And ultimately, it allows Shyle to pick that up, just really showing his experience in that 1v1 at the end.
I love the passiveness that he had on those main stairs as well, not feeling the need to peek and hold the angle, let himself get swung onto. He was the one saying, look, you want to come push me, you want to fire some bullets, we'll know where you are. No big worry on my side. SANDBOX with that downstairs window, not quite as dominant again as maybe they wanted. They're going to head instead now towards open area and staff room. By the looks of things, they do want to keep themselves busy. They've got that castle on side to really lock things down. They've got the Oryx out and about in the map. I do want to touch on Arakaze for a quick second. When he hit that 2K, I was like, it's just like on T1. Some things never change.
Well, this is the thing. That's the big question. You know, we've seen it in EU with G2, and I'm not necessarily likening the roster to G2, but it's a similar situation where you've got players who've, you know, hit big numbers on other teams, who've been really pivotal on other teams, coming in and now having to fit together. You're having to amalgamate those players into one cohesive roster. We weren't sure, Des, but
Tim,
there we go. Arakaze with the third.
Relatable Siege.
Hashtag
He's
relatable
holding the
Siege.
angle, he's watching the top of the lobby stairs, and at the second he steps away to beat on the window and get himself relined up again, that's when he gets peeked by Arakaze. So unfortunate for Window. It's a classic Siege timing.
Window, not a Window player, it seems, at least in this round, as he finds himself off the board. 5 versus 4 then, and SANDBOX have got a nice advantage. Arakaze is going to be taken down though. Salty went big in the last round and manages to find his man again. 4v4, not terrible for Reject.
You touch on Salty, and for those who maybe are tuning in for the first day of APAC North and are wondering, okay, well, who are we watching out for on Reject? Salty was the man who several times last stage would basically walk a 3K or a 4K entirely by himself and just win his team rounds. It was quite scary how often he could do it as well with the level of repetition that he was producing. But sadly, the team around him couldn't quite come up to the same caliber and really deliver convincing wins for Reject. It was quite clear they were the last place team in the league as a result. But Salty is the one man you really do have to watch out for. A very capable gunner, and he will bring down the best in the league.
Salty looking to get himself established inside of Tellers for the time being. A little bit of yellow ping information there, but there's nobody directly ahead of him for the time being. The defenders have scarpered. He can look to move his way through, take a little bit of map control and start to pressure onto site. The triple wall, the nade goes out. Static far enough back that it doesn't catch him. There goes a second attempt, but Static, he's still looking lively out on those main stairs. Salty needs to be careful here. He's going to deploy the drone and actually just playing that as a little bit of a decoy with that advanced drone deployment. It means that you don't get immediately taken into it, and it can be a smart tactic to just drop it out there, let the sound ring out to the defenders, and just hold your angle for a second. See if anybody pushes you, but no, he's going to drop it into sight instead, and he's feeding info back into his team before pushing those main stairs.
I'd be shocked if any pro isn't playing with advanced drone deployment, Tim. I'd be very concerned if so, else it can cost you your life sometimes. Envy taking out Take's life here. That's the buck taken away. That vertical threat somewhat being removed. All eyes on Taraniki now as well, as those Candelas are now being tossed in. This is when the play should happen. Salty, patience of a saint, holds on the angle, and Static runs right into it. But Envy finding a second, bringing down the Titan of Salty himself. Taraniki one back the other way. Before you know it, Tim, it's a 2 versus 2, but this time there aren't 2 minutes left. There's 15 seconds. Taraniki looking for his man, finds him in behind the printer. Good boy finds one. It's another 1v1, and this time Reject win it out. 2 rounds, 2 1v1s, and 1 apiece.
Another close round there, coming right down to the wire, but Reject, as you say, able to hold on. They just didn't. This time it feel like SANDBOX didn't have the advantage of time. Last time they had a little bit of time to just position themselves, to move around, to think exactly what is going to happen here. They had about 30 seconds. This time, 10 seconds to go, they found themselves 1v1. You don't have time to manoeuvre. You've just got to fight your ground wherever you find yourself stood, and that was not something that they could do at the end of that round. Taraniki able to close it out, leaving us 1-1.
Absolutely. So 2 close rounds. I don't want to go as far as saying that either team looks particularly dominant or capable right now. It's a little bit back and forth. What I am excited about, Tim, is you know what you're seeing on your screen. There is no Azami ban in this map, which means we're going to see Azami pulled out in some cases. And upstairs here on the top floor, where generally it's frowned upon by... I remember back when we had this in the UK, I think it was in the ESL Prem, and there was a team called No Randies that brought 5 shotguns on coastline, opened up all the floors, all the walls. We couldn't talk for 45 seconds. I am so glad production have got good volume control on the go, Tim.
Certainly necessary, as you say, that shotgun just being put to use on the desk there. Arakazi continuing.
Put to use? That's like durability testing.
Worn out. Being worn out on the desk and walls there. We're going to have the Kiba barricades just blocking off the view in from the windows. That will take some utility to clear, because it's unlikely players are going to want to rappel in and clear them manually, because of course they will be exposed while doing so, because this circles, so the windows are not completely blocked.
Look at that lineup of Claymores, by the way. I think there's, what, 3 down here now?
Yeah, I mean, of course, anybody who doesn't know, Claymore's going up to a count of 2 for any operators that have them now. So there are 2 deployed down there, but you only need to bring them on 1 operator now, whereas that would have been the utility for 2 operators previously. So, yep, we're seeing a lot more Claymore usage over the last month or so.
Yep, so got that Yin coming back in as well. So no sense play coming out of Reject. Whether or not that's sensible, time will come to tell. In that previous round, didn't really quite have the impact they were looking for. The player being shut down as the Candelas came out, unfortunately. So this time around, hopefully there is something different to look towards. Candy finding a kill onto Arakazi. A great start, given again the early rounds that Arakazi has had. And it's worth stressing, the Azami Keeper barriers do recharge over time. Going down here in 60 seconds, you'll be short 1 or 2 of those in this round.
Take just working from underneath. He's on the book, so we'll be able to open up the floor if he gets any information about players up above him. Right now he's trying to make Good Boy's life a little bit difficult, but it's unlikely to have much of an impact, because Good Boy doesn't really need to move his feet much. He can peek back towards elevators and windows, and he can play on towards Square Skylight from where he is. He doesn't need to actually go inside a stock, so I wouldn't like to see the book just wasting too much time there. I think that damage likely coming from the rappel rather than from the man underneath. So 4 versus 5, advantage still with Reject, but 1 minute 20 and a little bit delayed on progress inside of the map.
Every time we say Good Boy's name, I just think we're talking about a dog. Like, oh, he's a good boy. Here he goes. Candy's better. Static put in the mud by Candy. A 5 versus 3 for Reject. They've got the Keeper barriers opened up as well, thanks to the Zofia. We did theorise you might see a rise in things like the Ashe and the Zofia as a result of those Keeper barriers, and to be fair, we've seen a bit of Ashe today, we've seen a lot of Zofia already. It's the re-rise. Envy stepping down on main and taking Take out. Good Boy a second. SANDBOX have even the kill feed.
SANDBOX just showing that they've got an ability to keep coming back into rounds here regardless of what happens. They're going to be tested again though, as Window manages to find Good Boy, and that is going to leave them now 3v2. Shio playing from Janitors. His shots are a little bit high, and Candy steps in with a sweet one. one, taking down the head, and that is going to be 3v1 now. Envy Taylor, he's fighting hard, but with 20 HP left, it's going to be difficult. Salty, he's likely to be able to get this diffuser down. 23 seconds, that could be a big play. He drops the diffuser down inside his sight. Envy Taylor, you've got an opportunity here. 17 seconds left to go, and Reject, they're going to have to get in. They're going to have to collect that diffuser. They're going to have to start putting it down once again. Are they going to go for the revive on the player? Unlikely, as Candy, he starts putting him down. Envy Taylor, no! Window able to just wheel around and see straight through Envy Taylor's movement as he shuts him down, and that's going to be round number 3 going to Reject, and SANDBOX are on their back foot, Des.
You really saw a world there where Envy gets the kill on Window, the plant's still going down, Salty's on the ground, and he pulls off a huge 1 versus 3, but sadly, just not quite fit to happen. Reject with a wonderful start though, Tim. We spoke about that 37% win rate globally before the major. We spoke about that kind of 4-2 scoreline you want as the attackers to keep in line with how the trends are going. That's exactly what Reject are doing. 2-1, double that up, 4-2. Perfect first half it would prove to be.
Exactly that. We're going to be down to lockers once again. SANDBOX able to win this out last time, but let's not forget it came down to a 1 versus 1. So Reject will be feeling like they weren't a million miles away from the attack on this side. As attackers, Des, you were saying, you know, they need that 3. That's going to be the minimum that they want to be looking for. So this is a big round for Reject here. If they can get this locked down, it maybe just lifts that pressure a little bit, and they can start getting that momentum, that flow, that freedom to their game to really push on into the rest of it. Now then, we're going to have a top floor presence all the way down from SANDBOX here, so it's going to be a big job for Reject on a big bank to be able to clear this entire place out.
And shock horror, you've once again got Envy looking to roll himself out around the map. This time playing on the Thorn. A couple of changes to their last setup. If you recall, there was a Vigil that we had Shyle playing. He was playing around that hatch and causing trouble up there when we had members of Reject looking to charge around. Still in a similar sort of spot, though, Shyle, because in the previous round, he wasn't droned out. He wasn't removed from an open area. If the enemy aren't going to take away a valuable area of the map from you, why wouldn't you use it?
The droning continues after 30 seconds into the round. Window just going to spot one out on the main stairs there. That's going to give at least some information, but what it is going to do is tell Reject that they need to be clearing this entire map. There are players out there. There are roamers. Salty manages to find Envy Taylor. Big opener there for Reject, and they're really starting to look like a bit of a force here on bank.
Salty especially. I mean, I know Window, Tadaniki and Candy are also all getting on the board as well, but it's just the presence that Salty has. You just have confidence that when he steps into a part of the map, he's going to find kills on the way through. Shyle finding Salty, the man I was talking about. He stepped into open area, but sadly you meet the raid boss of Shyle. But Window was there for the trade, so scrappy maybe, but Reject still find the trade and find themselves in a 4 versus 3.
Window's playing fantastically well so far. He's becoming a real pivotal part of this team, really making an impact inside of this game and making life difficult for SANDBOX. A lot of his kills are trades, or they're important mid-round kills that are really starting to swing the momentum in the favour of Reject. So good boy, he's holding on to the elevator for now, but the question is, does he want to be slamming that doors closed button to protect himself, or is he going to manage to drop away? Yes, he does. Keeps himself safe after what was a very gentle exchange between him and Reject. Mainstairs is now in control. Reject have the entire map, but without being able to pressure basement as of yet. They've still got a lot of work to do in this 4v3.
They do, yeah. Window now donning this hatch as well. The all-seeing eye from above. Only this eye tends to have bullets coming out of it as well. Candy doing the little diffuser swap with Tadaniki, who's going to work his way onto the downstairs. I'm wondering what the game plan is here. Is it a little bit of a bait and switch, where you've arguably got the one man going over to the other side of the head banner, with the Thermite working their way down towards servers, as many will come to expect. They could be trying to kind of, okay, hatch drop. That makes a lot more sense. So Tadaniki's opening things up on here to maybe get a smoke in deep. They can drop down through the hatch and then go for a plant inside of the smoke.
Static's looking to make his way back up main stairs potentially. Just needs to get through that toxic babe canister that he's deployed himself. He does find one onto Window, and this could be a big play on the flank. He's got himself up there. He's got himself established, but he gets himself shut down as Candy, Taki, they manage to find themselves the kills. Candy's getting the plant, but he won't have time as Taki takes him down, and that is going to be another round to Reject. 3-1, and who saw this coming?
There's probably questions to ask there about that retake coming out from the side of SANDBOX, right? You've got about 5 to 10 seconds between the two players looking to retake open area. It's almost like it was an afterthought that they should have two players go up there and play for the trade. Static goes down. The last one follows through in Good Boy about 10 seconds after. Just a little bit disjointed there from SANDBOX, I feel. Although Reject, once they had control, they had all the utility in hand, just managed to dump all of it on top of SANDBOX and get a very comfortable round win. SANDBOX failing a little bit here, Tim, and it kind of feels like the only time you see any life in them is in the late round when the diffuser's already going down and one or two members that are left standing have got to go and get mobile. So I want to see some more coming out of them. It just feels like Reject are playing as more of a team than SANDBOX are so far.
I like that little play. It's one of the little things we don't always pick up on. Arakaze there on the Oryx was just dashing up and down the desks in open area. Thank you, medics. You can see the damage that he's done there. He hasn't taken any HP damage for it himself because he's not burst through a wall, but it was just a quick way. You don't need your shotgun. Just run your Oryx along those, those sort of panels, and he can actually clear them out for you.
Still doing it now. They're charging around me. Why not? And they're charging up so quickly as well. Like, make use of them. Some players use it more for the mobility as well to kind of get across a gap particularly quick without being shot at. I mean, you probably will get shot at, but it'd be hard to hit you given you move faster than a normal operator does. But Tim, I spoke earlier on about Sens and we haven't seen much of them so far. We may well do here, being brought along with the Glaz, a combo that we saw back on Clubhouse. The Amaru for Tadaniki on side as well. I'm always unsure about Amaru on this site, to be honest with you. Like, it's not really a hatch hopper. You try and get in through the windows upstairs, you're basically zooming yourself into an early death. So it's one of those that I look at and I'm never 100% sold on, to be completely honest.
Got Take making his way through the basement on the Ash. Going to be able to get himself up blue stairs at this point and look to get him. So he's just putting his claymores down. He doesn't want to be getting anybody trying to move through and flank underneath. You can see he's secured both sides of that area there around CCTV. He's going to look to get himself up blue stairs just to support the rest of this push. We've got window established in electrical, and interestingly Take rather is heading up the other way. He's going to go up main stairs and look to challenge onto double door. There's a freebie, but Take is just not ready for it. Sometimes you've got to be in your ADS, and that just shows the bad look. That's a bit more relatable siege there as Arakaze comes in, takes down the man, and kill after kill follow for SANDBOX.
3 quick kills out of seemingly nowhere as well. Just think, if Take was ready with ADS on, finds that opening kill, maybe things play out a little bit differently here, but now at least Bleepers is heavily controlled by the side of SANDBOX. Arakaze still holding in the area, trying to move their way forward to a Reject. They really want to try and push him from Bleeper's side, but it's all too easy for Good Boy to land himself a triple. Windows, the last one left standing, 1 versus 4. I don't see this one going their way, Tim. We could be on course for that 3-3 half we spoke about.
I feel like SANDBOX really needed this round, to be honest. Good Boy's going to finish things off. 4K in the round for him, I think it was. And we just, like I said, desperately needed that for SANDBOX because they were starting to really fall behind. Now they can think, right, Rejects are on attack. We know it's an attacker-sided map. They're 3-2. We could finish this off 3-3. Even if they go 4-2, not the end of the world. So big round for SANDBOX there because it wasn't just about the scoreline. It was the manner in which Reject were winning rounds. It felt like they were really starting to get on top of SANDBOX. So important to see them get themselves kicked up a gear and back into things. They needed to wake up, basically. And that's exactly what they did in round 5.
Okay, and now we're going in for a Smoke and Chanker setup once again, something we've seen come in 3 times out of SANDBOX, really swearing by it. And what I will give to them is they are using the utility. I had a little flick across in the last time we were here. They had 1 smoke canister left and only 7 of their Shumikas still in back pocket for the Chanker. So it's not like some teams where they'll bring along the Chanker, use it to transform the site and then never actually use the gadgets. SANDBOX are making very good use of all of that utility. Now, whether or not it's actually effective use, they are using it, but is it being used correctly and at the appropriate times? Maybe not, but at least they're using it to try and slow down Rejects.
If anybody's wondering what have they done to the wall near the plant spot that is usually reinforced, Arakaze has just made Swiss cheese of it, and the reason that they do that is to prevent it being opened. Obviously it makes it very difficult then to put any sort of charge on there. It even makes it tricky if you've got something like an Ash to get in at distance and to hit the mark and get that cleared out consistently so you can get through there. They're going to have to protect Take to get him in there. The bug is going to be the key, the skeleton key, quite literally, that is able to open that wall up if that's where they want to plant.
I imagine that's exactly why you've now got Envy Taylor looking to contest on blue. He's got a shield set up with him. No doubt some ADSs also scattered around, just to make this a really frustrating point for the attackers to get control of. Even up here, he can waste through a couple of drones as they come raining on through. And I do want to touch on it again like I did in an earlier game, Tim. We're down to just 5 drones, only 40 seconds into the round. Rejects have really gone ham with the drone work, and SANDBOX has done a great job of collecting those on the way through. That's even without something like a mute as well.
Salty's just going to be coming together for a clash with Goodboy if he's not careful here. For the time being, he's holding the angle from electrical in towards blue, but he is going to have to push forward at some point. And if Goodboy can hold his patience here and isn't challenged, it could be a real problem because it's going to be an absolute freebie onto the flank. Goodboy still waiting. The punch in the wall. They just miss each other like ships in the night there as they manage to survive. Salty dips himself back outside. Goodboy back off into open, and that's going to be a clash that might just happen later in the round.
You still got Shaw once again, by the way. I was going to say sat on the hatch, and gets caught on the drop down as well. Window, great timing to bring down just the one. If he was lucky, he could have walked away with 2 there as the second man did drop through the hatch with him. But Window playing the patient game on that long angle. Again, a classic relatable Siege moment. You sat there for 90 odd seconds, and only then do you finally get a kill and be rewarded for your patience.
Envy Taylor still hasn't been dealt with at the top of blue stairs. Take moving down, taking utility and default cameras as he goes. But Reject need to think about getting moving. If they want blue stairs, then they need to start getting it. At the minute, I think that they're not interested in it. They're just going to head down main stairs, and all they're trying to make sure is that Envy Taylor can't move through and get onto their flank. They're trying to force him into that engagement whilst they go for a hatch drop.
That's what they're looking towards here. Absolutely Salty. Again, patience of a saint. We've seen it out of him a couple of times so far this game. You've seen it once again here. He's had Static. He's had Envy. He makes it look effortless.
6-4 now. He is on the leaderboard and going very well for his team. Shumical launcher coming out, but there's nobody there, Des. Right now, SANDBOX, they don't seem to have much of an idea of exactly what is going on with this attack or where the push is going to come through.
Still got 10 left.
Reject, they are hovering around the hatches, but now send a late push down into blue corridor. They're going to take servers. They're going to look to get through garage. They need to get moving because with 15 seconds left to go, they just haven't got the map control that they need. But here goes Taraniki. He finds one. Can he get a second? No. He's going to have to move into sight. He's got diffuser in hand. Somehow manages to get there. Static onto window. Can they hold on and get this plant successfully completed? Yes, they can. Static, Goodboy fighting back. 2v3, 40 seconds. That's going to be Candy finding Static. Goodboy, he's the last alive. Can he find the first? Absolutely not. He moves into sight. Shut down by Salty. And that is going to be the round for Reject, and they take the half 4-2.
That's the scoreline we were speaking about, Tim. That 4-2 magic number to keep in line with the stats we've seen around the world back in stage 1. Reject complete it. What a half from them overall as well. I know we were commending Salty frequently throughout for the patience that he was playing, the presence that he brings to a room. Even when he was dying, he was creating trade opportunities for someone else on his team, normally Window, who I think ended up on like 8 kills in that first half as well. Really impressive for Reject, and maybe arguably here, Tim, we wrote them off a little bit too soon coming into the first play day of the stage, and they've had a lot of time to reflect on stage 1. What didn't work? What didn't go well? Remembering, of course, they didn't go to the major. They had a lot of time to sit back and work on these things, and from what I've seen so far today, I'm really impressed.
Fantastic from Reject. The thing is, no matter what happens now in the second half, what I'm happy with here is, and I've said this throughout, you know, I said it about T1 previously, I just want to see all the teams be competitive within the league. We don't want to see anybody coming in where you think they're going to lose every play day and they're going to be at the bottom at the end of the thing. That's not what we want. We want everybody in there competing, everybody taking points. Reject showed us that they were able to do that last season, and now they are back and they're doing it again in stage 2, and I am here for it. They've shown us that they are ready to play. This is going to be one of the top teams potentially in SANDBOX. As you've said, Des, you're prepared for them winning it all. You know, you think that they could be the #1 team in APAC North in stage 2, and Reject right now are going toe-to-toe with them.
They're beating them to not even just going toe-to-toe. They're adding kind of like a one-up on top of that. I think here what we might see in the second half, though, what you might see in the second half on the attacking side, though, is a lot of composure coming out of SANDBOX. We saw it in the game earlier on, in the game we cast back on Clubhouse. First half coming out from Talon, absolutely on fire, but the defense is what we said needed work. And I think in the current meta where attackers generally feel a lot more enabled, you know, good amounts of utility on side, lots of options in terms of what you can run, in this case SANDBOX are running the sense, you just have, I think, a lot more flexibility and control control that you can exert onto the defenders, and it's on them to be, firefighting seemingly continuously against what the attackers are trying to employ. So give it a couple of rounds here in this second half, see how SANDBOX deliver. If Reject keep them running away with it, I may be very, very quickly backtracking on my previous statements about SANDBOX, Tim.
Right now, we've had Reject just push back with that top-down clearance coming in from SANDBOX. They've done a good job, but they haven't got rid of everybody yet. Take on the Goyo is still in open area. Red Pin comes in. It's the Buck on the other side of the wall, so there's an opportunity to open it up quickly and to push forward from Arakaze. But Take is just stood on the lip of that hatch, and he's going to wait to drop away, and there it goes. He knows that the pressure was getting too much. He takes a last little spray just for anybody who was thinking of getting ambitious and following behind him. But at the halfway mark, SANDBOX have map control. They now need to start working down towards that final execute on site, so we see them pushing into stage 2 of this attack.
Absolutely. So they've done a good job there, I think, actually, Take as well. Killed a couple of drones, then dropped back down. Didn't feel the need to kind of overextend and stay for a gunfight as such. Just get rid of a bit of utility and then back away. A large part of that supported by their comp. They've got 3 of these C4s in back pocket. They've got the Goyo canisters, they've got the pulse to feed information, and 3 smokes. The first one should be coming out in a second. I think Salty's already tossed out 2 potentially here, just to try and slow things down as he holds up on blue stairs. Reject doing a great job of running the clock down, and an easy first kill onto Good Boy.
What a play from Salty there. Dips himself away. We saw bullets flying past his ears, but he just managed to survive and then goes back up and gets himself the entry. And with 40 seconds left to go, still holding on to blue, could be a big play, but Static has managed to clear him out. He's going to get himself into server now, start opening up that wall onto the plant spot. We've got the sense barrier just out there, preventing that line of sight in from red corridor. There's an opportunity potentially.
Goyo, 25 seconds.
The Goyo is going to burn that out completely. Static is going to have to go through that fire, and Candy's going to know about it, Des.
They've got to make the plating. They've got to run through the fire. They can't wait for this to time out, or it's going to be far too late. Charles finds himself 1 C4s are coming through. In they go, down to about half HP. Static, he is going so deep here, Tim, right against the door, but the barrier's coming down. That one should stay up. It's 4 kills coming in. They've managed to close it out, but my God, was it down to the wire.
SANDBOX able to lock down a difficult round, but what an opportunity for them. First attack successful, and it might just play into the minds of Reject here. Now that they are off the attack, are there any more rounds for them to find? Right now, they haven't managed to find their first defence. They're going to be changing it up and heading up to the top floor for their second attempt, as Lockers was not successful for them. You just really felt like they had a real opportunity to get that done. They had Salty on blue stairs with 40 seconds left to go, but SANDBOX just moved so rapidly after that point, using the hatches particularly well.
Again, I referenced the fact that the Goyo canister got popped with 23 seconds on the clock, and I was like, man, they've got to do a literal trial by fire hitting. They've got to literally run through fire and get this down. And you can see, again, that it's the same with like the sense barriers or the sense walls, right? They aren't impenetrable. They aren't absolutely going to kill you when you run through Goyo Vulcan canister flames, for example, right? It doesn't mean these things are unblockable, that you can't challenge into them. We've seen it a couple of times actually at the Major, where players would swing into a smoke canister gas cloud and kill the smoke because they just simply weren't expecting a player to do that. You can get away with it, it's just quite risky to do so, and SANDBOX just showing their look. Even though this is all running off and we've run out of time, we have lost the utility game, we can still make this work.
I'd be interested to see what would have happened if there was a second deeper Goyo canister.
Imagine.
Around the bomb chassis, and you'd been able to really blanket out that floor. Oof, that could have been trouble, but it's all coulda, woulda, shoulda, because there wasn't, and SANDBOX were able to get the round done. So we're going to see them now on a top floor attack. We've got the Yingdes. Are we going to see the Candelas and the Rappel in through the window?
Well, they've got themselves pretty prepped up because they've got the mirror. They've obviously got themselves the Izami on side as well. So 2 architects on site here that can transform an absolute ton, plus the Warden for when that Ying comes through. This time around, Good Boy's not going to be the one going down first. He did die to Salty first in the last round. He finds Take. It's only the alibi. It's far from the end of the world, but it's still a man advantage.
And it's the man advantage that they might just need here, as it's going to force everybody deeper back onto site. Top floor, you don't have too many roamers anyway, but it might just mean that elevator player or that stock corridor player have to come back inside a site, and that could be a problem. As we can see, Candy is still up there, and Static is down, working towards getting up those spiral stairs, and if access is gained from there, it could be a big problem. And big problems, they just keep presenting themselves to Reject here, as Envy Taylor manages to find Salty. 5 versus versus 3, and things are getting a little bit thin on the ground for Reject.
Even with these Kiba barriers out in the map as well and looking to cause a bit of damage. Still finding the angles being opened up by SANDBOX. Maybe Reject getting a little bit too comfortable as a third one comes through. No one on the side of SANDBOX yet taking damage. May have been juiced up a little bit throughout the round. In fact, I think Sharwash, you can see just a small slither of HP that is missing. Good boy into a second. Windows left standing. It doesn't even matter that he's on the warden and then there's a Ying on side here because he's got to go through 5 players to stop this onslaught, Tim.
That's it. It's largely going to be irrelevant. Window does manage to stop a flawless round, if nothing else, finding a nice headshot onto Shio. That's going to take down the Thinker and a lot of utility with them, but it's not going to matter. All it will take is a bullet from Good Boy, and that closes out the round. SANDBOX looking like a different animal on the attack.
Some smart ideas, I think, coming out of Reject as well. I like the combination of the mirror, plus the shields, plus the Izami coming out there, really looking to lock things down and really make SANDBOX sweat the same way they did back in round 7. But much like we had the cool ideas coming out in the first game of the day, where we said back then, me and Fabian were talking and saying, look, it's all good having nice ideas. If the execution isn't quite right, things are still going to fall by the wayside. And that's why I think Reject are taking an early time out here is, look, guys, we've got good strats. We know that they work. We practiced these out, but we're still letting things slip apart here. We need to make sure we're getting a grip on this, using them properly, and making SANDBOX struggle.
That's it. I like it. They're not letting things get too far ahead of them. They're still in this. It's 4-4. It's nice and even, but yes, there is a problem that needs to be solved, and that is the fact that SANDBOX have been able to get 2 rounds in a row on attack, but not just 2 rounds in a row. They've been 2 convincing rounds. You know, last time around, there was just nowhere that Reject could play safely. They were taken out of elevator. They were taken then out of stock. They were just picked apart piece by piece by piece from a SANDBOX team that were pushing themselves in very, very well from main lobby. There was just nothing that Reject could do to stop them.
All right, well, that's their 60 seconds up. They've had their conversation. You've had your little bit of chit-chat, boys and girls. It's time to get back into the server. Keen to see what site we step into. Given we've now seen 2 as well, they could, of course, in SANDBOX's shoes, head to another off-site, well, the off-site. They've gone from CC, they've gone up to CEO. No doubt the next one should really be that open area and staff room, a site that I would wager probably at the major and back in stage 1 was the most popular site. Most teams would even start there. Here, in fact, it's going to be Tellers and Archive. So really, sorry, not SANDBOX, Reject really throwing this against the wall here and just saying, forget about what everyone knows and assumes about this map. We're not going to the most popular site.
The thing is, you know, sometimes those little pocket strats can work out. As a defender, you come in there, it's unexpected for the attackers. You're not going to catch them out in terms of lineup because of attacker repick. Obviously, as soon as they recognise where that site is, if they feel they need anything different, they can bring it along. We can see that happening with the Iana going out for the sledge, the ace going out for the Iana. They're not too worried about the hard breach, they're not too worried about hatches. They are more concerned about being able to open up the soft floors, which they will now be able to do. So they need to get in there. It tells us that they're going to be going in looking for top floor control. So Take is going to be an important player if he remains upstairs. He needs to hold on for as long as possible, but no, he's going to be sticking around the main stairs for the time being. He's just going to take out the handrail there. That's going to allow him to move quickly down should he need to, but I think there's going to be pressure coming in that direction very, very soon.
Yeah, I think looking at this comp from SANDBOX, it just screams vertical and nade-based control, right? 6 frag grenades on side. You got the flashes to burn through a Wamai, for example, or a Jaeger if they were on side, of which neither of them are. So those grenades really need to be finding their targets. I imagine most of those will be engineered in towards the 2 bulletproof cameras, plus the evil eyes coming out of Candy. Otherwise, 2 of those nades probably should be reserved towards looking towards going for players. We've seen already on this map earlier on today, actually, a couple of kills in a row came through from nade-based play, the same on Clubhouse. So there's no reason why, again, with a total lack of anti-nade utility outside of maybe the laser gates, that SANDBOX can't get something from that utility in this round.
Arakaze just droning into janitors. We'll know there's somebody in there as the drone gets taken out, and you just get a feeling that maybe SANDBOX aren't completely getting a full grasp of exactly what's going on top floor at the minute. They're just a little bit halting in terms of trying to get themselves inside of the map. We're getting towards the halfway mark, and we still don't have Good Boy pushing into stock, for example, just applying a lot of caution at the minute.
There we go, one of those bulletproofs being fried off the wall by Good Boy early on. With only one, well, both nades being consumed is the problem, as well as used both to really get himself through there. which will mean none of those can really be dedicated towards players now, because it's still got to get rid of things like the Evil Eyes, the other Bulletproof. Still lots to worry about. Shah working his way down Marble here on the step downstairs. The SANDBOX have got that upstairs control they're looking for, and that is when the butt can start getting to work. On the other side, there's no pulse, there's no C4s, there's no big heavy denial coming in from below. So SANDBOX should feel pretty comfortable in getting set up here. Good boy stepping around and finding Window looking completely the wrong way. Stuck in daydreaming land somewhere there, Tim.
Absolute freebie for Good Boy, and probably a lesson to be learnt for Window there is, if you're going to be up on the top floor, if you're going to be playing that roaming role, you got to be alive, Des. You got to be moving. You got to be mobile. You got to be ultra mobile. You can't be, you know, taking a prone position, lying down, waiting for somebody to move into your angle, because that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to find yourself flanked. Now Taraniki has an opportunity, but no, shut down by Good Boy as he manages to make a withdrawal, take out another man, add them to his tally, and that's 5v3. Another freebie. Do rounds get easier than this for Good Boy?
He's just walking into free kills. He should have been dead at that second one, really. He should have lost that gunfight, but Taraniki just couldn't hit the shots. Arakaze going to deny himself the chance, or deny Good Boy the opportunity at securing an ace in the round. Take, one of the last left downstairs here. Good Boy stepping in, is going to find the man. 3 left alive here for SANDBOX as Take steps up. He wants his chance to keep this round the board for his team. Looking across in towards the other side. One more coming across to the right, but do they see the man? Goes out towards front desk. That should guarantee that the plank goes down here. It's a post plant for Take, and his chances of winning this round, they just went through the floor like Bitcoin.
He just needs to find himself a kill. That's the first step.
He was reloading. What happened?
Take's going to kick himself there. He'll know that that should have been the first of 3.
Whoops.
But no, he was caught out by the man. Managed to get the final kill. SANDBOX are looking pretty good. They're starting to run away with things a little bit at the minute. 6-4 now. 5-4 now, and starting to really get ahead of themselves. The brakes need to be applied by Reject, and they need to be applied quickly, because right now it's clear that they can't defend us.
It's looking dicey, isn't it? And this is what I was worried about. You know, attacking is generally, I would argue, these days a bit easier, but back in the old day, many would probably turn around and say, actually, defending is easier. You set up your shields, you get your ADSs down, you sit behind them for 2.5 minutes, and you pop people in the head when they walk in the room. It's super easy. Whereas attackers have loads of, like, utility to coordinate with each other. It's all about communication. The game is generally a little more free-flowing these days, and especially when it's enabled by operators like the Finker. We spoke about her a few times, but when you're walking into a fight with an extra 20 HP, your ADS time's being reduced, and you're being topped back up again for a fight in the next gunfight, whilst walking forwards with an LMG, there are just so many things that favour attacker guns right now that it makes it so oppressive to come up against any Finker-enabled attacker, and I think that's a large part of what you're seeing in this game. When Good Boy can just march his way through and find 3 kills on that sledge, no bother at all, and can get topped back up again afterwards, Rejects are kind of left looking for ideas. 3 rounds in a row they've now struggled to find. Will it turn into a 4th, or will they finally get a bit of a battle back?
Candy just feeding information in. We've seen this already, the use of the pulse, and it looked so promising with 30 seconds left to go the last time that they defended down in lockers, but they just weren't able to hold on to it. Reject as SANDBOX just quite frankly brute forced their way into sight. Now then, Take it's just stood on top of that hatch. It's still closed at the minute. I think may well have obviously the ability to open that himself, but just interesting, it could be a tricky situation should the need urgently arise for him to get himself back down there. So we'll see how that one plays out. He was playing in the same position last time around as the Goyo, just trying to hold on to open area for as long as possible, but was chased away pretty quickly by SANDBOX.
Starting to march his way forwards here, Arakaze on the underside. That Thatcher has been unbanned for, I think, 2 of the 3 games so far today, and we've seen it used quite liberally. Clubhouse was the first one here as well, just to make sure things are definitely cleared up. Here looking mainly towards the ADSs, I imagine, from the Jaeger, so those grenades can still connect with their targets. That's always going to be number 1. Salty, once again, the demon of blue stairs, though, Tim. We've already seen him do so much work here.
Arakaze just taking the peek through into open area. They know that Take is there. They know that he played there last time around, and they're just being cautious to make sure that they don't get peeked. Salty, top of blue stairs. He again did great work from there. It's very similar from Reject as the setup, and it's no surprise because they did good work last time around, but this time Salty, he's going to be chased away quite quickly. Last time he was able to move back up and make himself a challenge, got the opener onto Good Boy, but not this time, and that gives Shaol the opportunity to move himself into blue. I think not quite quite confident yet that the smoke has completely dropped away, but once this hatch is open, that will be it, and you will see that'll be the go button where they head downstairs, take that map control, and push towards getting the diffuser down.
I'm not sure what Static's hold-up is. I know that he's sat on drones and doing a little bit of work for the team, but like, you've got the exothermic down on the hatch. Surely things get opened up here and you start looking for a way forward, because otherwise Charles is currently held up at the top of blue stairs when he really wants to get pushing down. At this point, in fact, no, he took it off the... I think they got the head banner over instead, so rather than using the exothermics, they brought the head banner over so they can use those exothermics for the wall. That makes sense.
Certainly does, and they're in a position now to start opening that up. No Tachanka on side, of course. This time it's going to be all down to those 2 Toxic Babe canisters. There's also plenty of nitros to go at, 3 of them that can be put into the plant area.
Another canister's just gone off at the 26-27 mark, so once again, there is full burn going on inside of the site. SANDBOX are just going to have to run their way through a trial by fire here and find the kills. Good boy, finding one down the main stairs. Can he walk into a second? Salty and Window on one of the side. It's an absolute clear out. SANDBOX, coordinated aggression, find all 5 kills in the space of what felt like a couple of seconds and get themselves up to match point. Can anything stop the Korean hype train, Tim?
To tell you how quick those kills came in, I started writing down the entry kill of Good Boy. So I was writing 2 words, Good Boy, Taraniki. That's all I was writing. How many letters are we talking? What, 7, 15 letters? And it was done. I didn't even get to finish Taraniki. I was about tada. And tada, they were all dead.
It felt like a magic trick. It was just that quick. But I mentioned it where we had Good Boy pushing his way down through Marble. And by that point, pretty much all of Reject is in panic mode. Okay, guys, we've lost Marble. Oh, crap. The guy that's inside of Lockers, the guy inside of Garage, their attention isn't towards the default plant spot anymore. It's towards this man that's charging down at them like an absolute menace down Marble stairs. And that just lets SANDBOX drop through hatches. They can come pushing in from server side. They just capitalise really well on some good aggression. And I referenced him at the start. Tim, he played 1 game. He was top rated. He's on the way to do exactly the same again here after 1 game. 14-7 with a 2.0 KD. Well and truly leading from the front for this SANDBOX team.
I'll give it you this time. I'll give you that now. Now that it's over more than 1 game.
Relationship with number 2 ended. my friendship.
My new best friend is Good Boy. Indeed. Des is going to be on the Good Boy hype train, I would imagine, for the rest of the stage. And honestly, it's looking like he's going to give him plenty to cheer about. Heavy Taylor, he's gone right in here. He knows there's a man round the corner. No! Taraniki manages to get the swing, get the spray, get the kill. And he gets himself a second. He takes down Arakaze. And all of a sudden, Reject, they're back into this, Des. It's 5 versus 3. It could well lead them into round 12. What a big start.
Price on a bike, Tim. Where did that come from? Taraniki's with some real easy ones this game, it feels like. But he hits 2 when it's most required. Take, though, his woes only deepen. He's 3-10 in the game. Charles picking up the opener there and marching on forward. So a little bit of stabilisation coming out for SANDBOX, but still a numbers advantage to Reject. Only 45 seconds into the round.
That's it. There's a lot of time left to go, but they know about Window inside of Archives. He's probably going to be playing his life here. He's got the castle barricade to try and keep him safe, but if SANDBOX, they've got an opportunity. If they can hunt down the castle and get him taken out, it leaves them 3-3, and then there's an opportunity to start pushing towards site, and all that advantage that Reject had gracefully given to them by Taraniki at the beginning of the round is washed away. Shail, he's going to get himself onto the hatch. They just need to deal with the castle 4v2 though, as Salty manages to find Good Boy. There's the potential for the hatch in the elevator to be open and for him to drop away here. Salty, he's going to hold on to things for the time being. He just wants to see if there's an opportunity to continue pressuring, and there is. He pops around the corner and he takes down Shail. That's going to leave him down but not out, and that leaves Static now in a 1 versus 4 effectively. Final kill comes in. Bullets from absolutely everywhere as Reject, they take us into round 12.
It was like playing whack-a-mole, but Reject were the ones with the hammers there, just donking on you every time you tried to even look at a hole in the board in front of you. And it was really smart play by Salty as well. Baited away the fact that they assumed he'd dropped through the hatch, and then after about 10 seconds or so, sprung his head out once the beepers came out because Charles tried to move down main stairs. Just SANDBOX there, I don't want to say panicking, but probably could have paused and got back on the drones there and thought about things again. Does come to cost them yet another round. And Reject, who had lost, a few rounds in a row, are suddenly bouncing things back here, Tim, and in with a real shot of taking us through to overtime yet again.
Surely, Des.
Surely.
On play day 1 of stage 2, we cannot come away with 100% overtime rate. That would just be ridiculous. But we will see whether we get it or not in the next 3.5 minutes. Reject finally managing to get themselves a defensive round. That is on the back of 4 successful attacks from SANDBOX, and I love to see it. Reject just digging in, just showing us that resilience, that mental fortitude to be able to get themselves back into this one is great to see. This time it's going to be an open area that they're trying to hold on to. We've got Salty on the Kapkan. Fascinating operator. We've seen a higher pick rate now for this reason. Great footage we get there that we can put... Oh, he's really going for it. Salty putting 3 on that doorway. You can put multiple traps on the same doorway now, so it pretty much, if it gets exploded, guarantees you that lethal opener. Now then, you can see the Kapkan of Salty just getting around those windows, looking to see if he can find anybody outside. He's going to have to dip himself back away, as Envy Taylor was paying a lot of attention to them. But these two, they've already met each other.
I'm just thinking for Envy, he's just like, come on, good boy, show up, win us the game, please. I'm an old man now. It's time for the young generation to stand up and shine. And yes, he's been doing great so far, but that last round, things did crumble a little bit. Straight off the back of a flawless in the round before, let's not forget either. So hopefully for SANDBOX, they get back on that wagon and close this out for all 3 points in regulation. They've got to worry about this top 4, though. That Kapkan of Salty. As we know, Salty has been an absolute nightmare all game. Currently sat at 12 and 8. Is looking to be exactly the same once again here on the top floor. You've got SANDBOX coming in from the east, Salty darting around in the shadows off towards the west, and here comes Shyle on the hunt, working his way up towards that marble corridor.
Shile's going to take this peek around the left-hand side. He knows that there's somebody there now, but there's another one waiting. Salty's on the doorway. He's ready to pounce. There's the Kapkan, moves out. That could be badly timed. The Thinker probably hears, moves around the corner. They're going to dip away, and Reject just managed to keep themselves alive. There was a real possibility of a big coming together there where 2 or even 3 players could have wound up dead, but no. Shyle just played it a little bit more cautiously. He can't find the vertical angle either, but the slow creep of SANDBOX as they try to take top floor control continues.
It was close there as well. Shah was going fishing, looking through the floor to see what he could find, but almost got bitten by a piranha from below. I'm not sure on the player that it was, but Reject were ready to challenge that vertical angle. Slowly working his way forwards, and I know their drone count has been dwindling, but I have worried a couple of times here where they've made a player try to step forward that has not been a drone at their feet. Think about the bleepers halfway up marble in the last round towards elevators. Think about just then when Salty was holding the longer angle, and Envy's going to find him for free there. Good boy is starting to knock on the front door as well. Like jonesing up towards the site here. They're going to try and get this quad wall opened up. An impact trip might come through though and deny this one away. Through it goes. Can he hit it? Yes, he can. Of course he can't miss.
It's going to be another opportunity though as the MP goes out. Tadar Nicky does have another impact in hand. Static's going to apply the exodermic charge lower. Will that save it? We'll see the impact nade come out in a second.
No, he missed.
And it manages to go off. So they know exactly where the man is. The shots land on the lesion. Tadar Nicky super low health now, but continues to manage to keep himself in the round, but not for long as Envy Taylor goes and shuts him down. Ends his participation in this round. Shyle onto Take, and it's looking like it's very one-sided now. The fight back is on though as 2 kills come in. Candy, Window managing to find one apiece. 9 seconds left to go if they can hold on, but Arakaze shuts down Candy, and that is that as SANDBOX come in, managed to take round 12 in a game probably closer than many thought it would be. They managed to hold on and get the full 3.
Beautiful stuff for Envy to get a 3K in the closing round as well. Just showing it ain't all about the new boys, it can be about the old as well. One of those that you're looking at. I'm just thinking again for SANDBOX, maybe not quite the scoreline they were looking for, but Tim, I don't want to take away from Reject in saying that. I think Reject there have had a pretty decent game. We spoke about several of the players in the first half really getting up there. Salty, of course, everyone expected, but Window was like 7 and 5 as well. They were getting themselves involved. It is a step up compared to what we saw in the last stage, but there is still work to do.
Yeah, I mean, I would completely agree. Reject, you know, they need to take a lot of positives away from that game. You know, particularly on the defensive, on the attacking half, they were very, very good. Defence, yes, they need a little bit of work. They're needing to be sorting that out, but they're defending on bank. It's never going to be that easy. They got themselves one round. It just wasn't enough in the end.
Church, a good boy.
He's very good. Very good today.
It's almost like the name is there for a reason. Let's go to a quick break. When we come back, our analysts can also join the Church of Good Boy. See you in a few.